Julia, you are in fact a Russian, sort of. You're an American, but of Russian origin. What did you make of Trump's immigration plan?
Well, it's kind of more of the same and slightly different packaging. It's the same thing that he's been promising to his base since he started running 2 years ago. It's very restrictive in, one shape or another immigration policy. They've been going after green cards and H-1B visas also since the beginning because of people like Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller. It's interesting because Melania Trump was here originally on an H-1B visa. In fact, she worked illegally under a tourist visa at first. But that doesn't seem to matter. And when you ask Trump supporters, they don't care because she's the right kind of immigrant. She's a beautiful white woman from Europe, and we like those. Even though she doesn't have a college degree. I don't know how she would have done under this point system. But I think a lot of this stuff is trying to find kind of a formula that will provide the right kind of demographic engineering for this base.
Gideon, what strikes me about it is nobody, I think, would object to a shift in the composition of immigration that is more skills-based, less family unification. It's probably too lopsided. But this is achieved by dramatically cutting back on immigration at a time when everybody thinks that the great advantage the United States has compared to Europe, for example, compared to Japan, is we have young workers. And the reason we have young workers is because we have immigrants.
Yeah, you can make a good case, actually. Canada has a very successful immigration policy that's based on somewhat different principles than family reunification for the main thing. You can make a case there's a good policy reason for considering alternate ways of structuring your intake of immigrants. But reducing them dramatically for the legal immigrants is a different question from the illegal immigrants, and it's one that doesn't seem geared towards a successful economic future and dynamic, thriving future for the country. On the other hand, politically, as your column points out, it might actually make some sense.
It's also, I have to say, there's a moral question here because part of this proposal, like all past proposals or executive actions, drastically cuts down on the number of refugees, which is, I would argue, immoral and cruel, especially if you're pursuing a kind of isolationist foreign policy and you're not going out into the world and trying to help these countries fix the situations they're in so that they're not creating these massive refugees
I got to just mention your tweet, which I loved, which was you said, when I came to this country, I couldn't speak English. Now I get paid to write it.
Right, but that was one of the proposed qualifications, right? That if you come to this country as an immigrant, you have to speak English. English is a pretty easy language to learn. I think most people could pick it up in a few months.